Howdy, Personal Finance. Back here again, second lesson for Module 3. Again, looking at education, career, building up for a career, things like that. Today we're going to narrow in, look at education, things that you do before you actually start working. Even though you may work some on the side, you may have a summer job, things like that. Or maybe even just a job you work all year round, but it's not, it's not your career. Remember we talked about the difference between a career and a job. So we're talking about the things that you do before you start your career. All right. And so we're going to be talking mostly in this video about education and the different pros and cons of that. And you're going to have two worksheets. Both of them are really simple. I've got one up here just to explain it. This one here, again, is about what is it worth to be in class. Why even go to high school, especially if you're going to be someone that's like, well, you know what, I'm just going to go straight to work. Either your family owns a business or you just know exactly what you want to do whenever you get out of high school and it does not require more classes or anything, then why even finish high school? Why not just jump out of high school whenever you can? Because if you don't need it, then why do it? So we're going to look at that. What's it worth to be in class? And you're going to do some simple math. I'm going to just go over it real quick just to make sure we're all on the same page. Sorry for the glare, but I need to write on the board in a second. And so I put a piece of paper, which makes the glare not so bad, but you'll see this up close and personal on your computer anyways. But all we have here is the average amount of money people make and then their according degree that they have. So people who have a professional degree on average make this amount, which is $2 3/4 million, all the way down to less than high school, which is $710,000, and this is over a lifetime. That's average earnings over a lifetime. And so just looking at this right here, you can see that there's a correlation between your level of education you earn and the money you make. Okay, that may seem pretty obvious to you, but we're actually going to look at what is it like, or what is it worth to be in class. So we're talking about just high school here. The difference between a high school earned, how much money you make if you earn a high school degree and then go work versus no high school, less than high school, is a difference of $1,710,000. So what you're going to have to do is just do some simple math, figure out how many days are we in school out of a year, things like that. And what you're going to do is, if we scroll down here, or actually, click, there we go. Yeah, you're going to figure out how much it is, what's the difference. But eventually, once you get all the way down to here, again, 180 days a school year, you'll be able to figure out how much money you make a day by being in high school when you do this one. Again, this one is really simple. Again, it'll take a little bit of time to do some math, and you got to check yourself, make sure you do it right. But you got to figure out, again, you have 4 years of high school, 180 days, so you got to figure that stuff out, and we'll come to a conclusion there. But again, you'll turn that in on an eLocker. I may reference back to it in a later video, but that's just looking at how much money you make just by being in class every day. All right. Now, you do need to realize that once you complete that and you get your total, that's not quite right for Saxony. You actually have to take off, like, I think $40 to $50, I think is what we said, because of tuition. But Saxony has an average higher ACT score and testing and things like that, which means that you're more likely going to get more scholarship. So even though you lose a little bit of that per day money, you gain it back in scholarships and things like that on average. Okay? But now let's move on past high school. This here obviously says that you have 5 options, but there's clearly one more that kind of fits into some of the other ones as well. But we also have work here. Okay? Plenty of people go straight into work, and that's not a bad thing, because guess what? We're going to go through the pros and cons of each, and there are pros and cons for each one of these guys. All right? So we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. So again, we'll just do quick pros and cons. And also, we're going to write down when they would be useful to have versus, or when they do good situations for them and not good situations. So again, I got my pro column, cons column, and this one is for work first, okay? Again, I'm going to erase these pretty quick, so if you need them, just pause it and write it down. So, pros. What are the pros of going to work right away? Well, you have start earning right away. I have to move my cons over. Okay, you start earning money right away. Okay, if you go to any kind of school, you're actually spending money. The more expensive the school, the more opposite the way you're working. Okay, so you start earning money right away, and you can start working towards getting a promotion. Again, depending on the job, things like that. You can start working right away. So not only do you start earning money, you're on your own time. All right, you're on your own time sooner, okay? Again, you don't have to worry about putting time into other things besides your job, especially if you have access to the job you want and you don't need more schooling, then may not be such a bad thing because you're on your own time, you're not on anyone else's schedule except obviously your jobs, but you don't have to worry about classes, you don't have to worry about papers, things like that, although most jobs have something similar to that. But you start earning money right away, and you will have, on average, less debt. Although people do find ways to build up debt without going to classes and schools and things like that. Okay? Cons, you will have limited options. Am I still on the screen? Good. Okay. You have limited options, usually lower positions, and I'm just going to put in parentheses, starting especially. All right. So you have limited options. Again, there are some jobs you have to have a higher level of education to get. So if you don't, and you go straight into working, all those things are immediately knocked out. They're not even possible, okay? But then you also have, you probably also have a lower position, okay? You and someone else may actually know your stuff the same amount, but if they have an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, anything like that, there's a good chance they're going to start out either making more money or just having a higher position than you also, okay? And then you also have just less knowledge. Again, not necessarily. Some people go out and learn things on their own. Okay? All right. So again, a couple things about here. The biggest thing you can see, the biggest difference is you start earning money right away, and you don't have to worry about living expenses for a college. You don't have to worry about books, your classes, all that stuff. So some people come out of college with $50,000+ in debt. Again, probably, you could almost expect if you're going to a big school to at least have $20,000 or more of debt. So you go get your job, you go get your degree, and you're $20,000 in debt. Okay, you took out a student loan, whatever it is you or your family had to do. So people that do those things have a negative balance. Here we've been making somewhere between $18,000 and $30,000 a year for 4 years if we're comparing to the most expensive option. Okay, so that's a pretty big difference. Now again, long run, usually those make more money, but those are the pros and cons. So someone that either maybe just can't stand school, struggles with school a lot, has maybe something planned out, maybe family business, or just whatever they want to do doesn't take schooling. Well, if they want to start making money right away, they can do that. So that's work. All right, working right away. And then obviously the cons, Again, limited options. So you may get out there and be like, man, this isn't the job I really like. I really like this other job, but your schooling isn't enough, so you may have to go back. A lot of people do that. They think that they can go out and just make it. And they need to go back because the job they really want takes something else. All right, let's go into military next. This is a lot like work because some of the pros and cons are the same, but obviously there's some unique things as well. All right, some pros of going to work in the military, okay? The same thing as work is you start earning right away, okay? Again, you get paid, you're working for the military, so you're going to get paid. Other things that you get are hands-on training. All right. Again, we had someone come into the in-class personal finance class from the military and talk about it. There are literally 150 jobs you can choose from in order to do a job in the military. Again, he was from the Army specifically, but they had 150 jobs to choose from. So if you want to be a mechanic, guess what? You can go into the military, be a mechanic for the military, and then so not only are you working, but you're learning mechanic skills and knowledge, and then when you get out, you can go be a mechanic. And you've already been working, and that's how you learn to do it, is through the military. But you get to do it hands-on, okay? You're not in a classroom. You'll probably be some classroom stuff, but you get to go actually work on stuff that will be used, okay? So hands-on training, all right? Also, they will pay for your education. Whenever you go out and serve, depending on what you do, you may even be able to start doing your education while you're still in the military, but they'll go back and pay for you to go to a college. And almost any public university and even some private universities, you can get money from the military to go back and get a degree. Okay, and that's 4-year schools, that's not just 2-year schools, but they go back and you want to go somewhere, they pay for it. All right, so that we're talking about starting to earn quickly, hands-on training, and we're talking free education. Okay, so there are a lot of positives that come along with military. And one other one you get also is, again, an honorable job. Again, this one's set every year. I'll put honorable/respect. Okay, because if you go work in the military, it's almost just a given that you're gonna, you're gonna get respect from the people around you. Okay, maybe not everyone likes the people in government at the time or the decisions they make, but almost everyone can be in agreement that you respect military members. And so again, that is a plus of being in the military. You get that respect. It's an honorable job. Okay, just like being a policeman, a firefighter, all those kinds of things. Okay, but what are some cons of the military? Well, you have a commitment. We'll put time. All right, so you have a time commitment. And we're going to go, this would be separate. So deployment. So again, you have away from, let's put away from home. Okay, so you're away from friends, you're away from family, but you're away from home. So you could be deployed. Again, now depending on what thing you go into, that you may not even be able to be employed. That may not be possible, okay? But again, you have time commitment, you have to do training, things like that. You may be deployed. So you also you have a small chance of danger. okay? Because if you get deployed to a dangerous area, well, all of a sudden, this is a risky job, okay? So there's a con there. So you don't have quite the flexibility that some of the other options do, okay? So again, danger probably isn't as big of a factor as people naturally think. It's like, oh, military battle, bombs. Most military members, even during a war, most military members don't see combat, all right? And again, obviously you have to be willing to go through that danger or see that conflict, but most don't. But obviously you can't go, just roll your chances. You know what, I'll go to the military, maybe I'll never see combat or anything bad. Well, I mean, it is the military, so that's your purpose, is to go out there and defend people. So again, pros: earning money, hands-on training, get your education paid for. It's a respectable job to have. Then you have cons. Again, big time commitment. You could be away from family for months, and in fact, basic training, you're gone that whole time, so you don't see family. So again, if you have a new family, that might be really hard to do. I have a friend who's in the National Guard. He's been down in Cuba for 7 months now. He's getting ready to come back, but he also, he has a daughter that's about 4 years old now, and so he's missed seven months there. That's a long time, I'm sure, to go to without seeing your kid. Then obviously you have danger. Okay, he was deployed during the riots in Ferguson. And so he was out there. He was on TV. We saw him on TV. You couldn't tell which one he was. But he was placed in front of that courthouse where the decision was made about the Ferguson case. So again, there is the military. Okay. All right. We're going to do apprenticeships next. I know it's not next on the list, but Apprenticeships. Okay. But it makes sense in my head to do apprenticeships next. So what an apprenticeship is, just to make sure we're clear, an apprenticeship is where you go work with a professional, and you may or may not get paid, but it's not traditional just classes. You literally go work with somebody to learn it as they do their job, and then usually your payment is the learning. That's what you're getting out of it, so you're helping them. Or you might get a small amount of pay, or maybe the promise is, come be my apprentice, and then you'll get a job with me whenever I say you're done. Okay, so again, pros, cons. Okay, again, this one will clearly have hands-on training. All right, it's also focused on your career. All right, so hands-on training, you're learning from a professional. I'm going to even put that in parentheses. Professional. All right. You're learning from a professional. You have to focus on your career, which means, again, you're not learning any other skills. You're learning what is pertinent to exactly what you want to do, which, again, it could be welding, it could be a hairdresser, it could be an electrician, it could be any of those kinds of things. You go learn from a professional. Well, that's all you're learning about. You don't have to worry about learning advanced English or advanced math or things like that. You may learn a few things according to what you are focused on, but you don't need to learn anything else besides what's important for the job. Okay? Again, going to put this on this side. May receive pay. So you may be able to make some money. They may offer you minimum wage, something like that. Again, everybody's different. This is more of like a individual's choice, but you may receive pay. But cons, okay? you only learn one skill. All right, you only learn one skill. Again, that is the job you want, but if something doesn't work out, you decide, man, I've been doing it for a year now and I don't enjoy it. Well, you only learned one thing. You only have a skill set for one occupation, and it's very trained or very limited. Okay. Again, you will have little to no income with an apprenticeship. Again, it's very similar to an internship, if you're more familiar with that, where you go work for a company and then they promise to hire you or something at the end. But again, you either make little or no income while you're doing an apprenticeship. Okay. Again, you may even have to buy your own materials, your own equipment, all that kind of stuff. But little to no income, you're only learning one skill. All right. But again, you may receive some pay, which anytime you can learn and get money, that's always a good thing. And then again, very focused. So if this is really what you want to do and it works out, well, then it's very streamlined. You learn your trade, and there you go. And then you have hands-on training from a professional, someone that knows what they're doing. You get to see them do it, then they get to see you do it and learn that way. Again, hands-on training, very big deal. Okay? So that was apprenticeships. All right. We'll just draw a line here. Vocational. We have pros and cons. So, vocational trade schools. These are, again, a step up from an apprenticeship. These are formal classes where you learn something. Again, like Rankin Tech is a school where you go to learn to work on semi-trucks. Okay, that is a vocational or trade school. CTC, whether Cape or Perryville, those are vocational or trade schools. Okay, some pros here. Again, we have streamlined. Okay. Again, I'm going to put shorter term links, and I'll explain it. But again, streamlined learning. Again, you're still learning basically in one area. It's probably going to have a little bit more than just what an apprenticeship would. But again, you do have it's streamlined because you're still learning basically what you have. Again, you may learn a couple other things, but you're basically just doing streamlined learning. So that means it's going to be shorter. You're going to have shorter term length, which means you're not going to be going to a VOTEC or a trade school for 4 years. Most of the time, not even 2 years. Usually it's 6 months, maybe a year, maybe a little bit over a year. So again, it's very short, okay? And it's going to be cheaper. Than most other education. Okay, it's going to be cheaper than most other forms of education as far as formal training goes. Again, it's going to be cheaper than 2-year colleges or 4 years, things like that. So again, it's going to be cheaper as well. But again, we run into some of the same problems. Again, you're going to have limited options. We have limited options in careers. Again, you've only learned one thing. There's only one or two things you probably learn at a trade school that's very focused. So again, limited options there. All right. again, even though these are schools, but again, okay, the highest positions won't be available. Again, so a lot of manager positions, things like that, or just higher up in the company positions, take higher degrees. So you can't earn a high degree of something here. Again, you could become, a master of your trade, and you may be able to work your way up. But a lot of high positions still require a higher level of education, whether it be an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, so on and so forth. So I'm also going to put down here a lower ceiling, and ceiling may be spelled wrong, I'm not sure. So it has a lower ceiling, okay? Again, still on the cheap side of things when we're going to look at the overall, what we're doing here. Again, some of the good things, again, still streamlined. It's going to be faster than most educational options. Again, you could put this as a con as well, but this is the first one where you're paying money out more than likely to do this. So that could go here. But again, it's still going to be cheaper, so I put it on the pro side. But someone that, again, knows what they want to do, but they need a license to do it. Again, you often get licenses from vocational trade schools. Again, an electrician's license, a mechanical license, things like that. Things you still have to have in order to do something. To be a bus driver, you have to have a special bus license. You have to take classes and things like that. But again, streamlined, you only learn one thing, which is also a pro because you have limited options. You only learned that one thing. It's shorter term length, so it's not a huge time commitment compared to our ones we'll get to in a second. Cheaper than most other educational opportunities, but again, the highest position still won't be available to you, or at least not easily. And then so that means you have a lower ceiling of where you can progress to. Okay, a lot of places go, here's how much money you can make if you have this degree, here's how much money you can make this degree. So obviously the better degree you have, the higher my hand goes until it's off the screen, and then all you can see is my shadow. Okay, so if you want to get all the way up here, you got to have a higher degree, which you can't earn with vocational trade. But if that is what you want to do, and that makes you happy, that is more important than any amount of money. Okay. Again, I'll be showing you a video of Mr. Steve Harvey and a little side sermon he did while he was doing the Family Feud, actually. And then he'll talk about find something that you're passionate for and then go do that. But that's for later. Okay, 2-year college. All right, 2-year college, pro-con. Okay, so this is where we see our first degree, real degree you can earn. Okay, again, we're going to kind of compare this one to 4-year college, things like that. But you are going to have a lot more options that come here. So we're going to put down more options. What do I mean by more options? You have more options because there's a couple of different things you can do with a 2-year school. All right, you can do things like an associate's degree. You can transfer. Okay, and save money by doing that. Okay, so you could just go get a 2-year associate's degree. Again, that opens up a lot of new jobs, a lot of opportunities to you. And again, 2 years colleges usually have multiple areas you could experiment in. You probably have a few general classes to take that may not have to do with what you want to do, but they're going to be a lot more focused. Or you can take your general classes at a 2-year college, and then transfer to a four-year school. Because guess what? These are okay? These are going to be cheaper than a four-year. So, again, just think about it real quick. Maybe you know that you want a degree of something, but you just don't know exactly what you want to do yet. And your family doesn't just have a ton of money. Instead of thinking, well, I'm just going to pick a college to go to, and I'm just going to start out with some major, and I'll just figure it out. Well, again, those big four-year colleges, if you go to a really big one, you're talking $20,000 a year or more, and you don't even know what you want to do yet. So an option, especially if money is an issue, you can go to a two-year college, get some of your general classes you don't have to take anyways, just get it out of the way, spend maybe $10,000, $15,000 less. And then if you do your research and you find out, oh, well, all those classes I took transfer, then you can go finish and get the four-year degree, but you did your first half at a cheaper school. Okay, so again, cheaper than a four-year. Again, now it is going to be more expensive 90% of the time than vocational or apprenticeships, things like that, but it's a lot less than a four-year usually. Okay, so you do have, again, I already have it up there, associate's degree, so that's a pro. Again, you can transfer to a four-year school if you want to. All right, but limitations, again, you can't earn you can't earn a four-year degree at a two-year school. All right, so you're still limited there. All right, another con. All right, classes may not transfer. Sorry, I'm getting sloppy. I'm getting lazy. But classes may not transfer. So then you may, a school may not accept them. Rolla is a bad one, and that's not just from two-year schools, but they do it two-year schools more than four-year. But Rolla will not take math classes taught outside of Rolla classrooms. They think they have special, magical math that only they know how to teach. So, like if you're taking an advanced math class here at Saxon for dual credit, guess what? Probably not going to transfer over to Rolla if that's where you go. So the money spent on that probably was not worth it because they're not going to take it anyways. But so classes may not transfer. All right, and then obviously you have a bigger time commitment. Again, less than four-year, but you have. We're just going to put a bigger time commitment than all but four-year. Okay, so again, you have 2 years that you're going to be locked down paying scholarship, or not paying scholarship, paying tuition and things like that. So that's something else you'll have to worry about as well. Okay. All right. So again, just know that basically 2-year is the same thing you think. It's just a lesser 4-year. Okay. It's less time. It's probably a little bit more focused. It's cheaper, but then again, you can't earn the biggest degrees at a 2-year college. Some classes may not transfer. So you can go to a 2-year, but even if you want to go to a 4-year, eventually you're going to have to transfer, do that work too, worry about what transfers, things like that, all this kind of. But you also have more options, okay? So you have more options because 2-year schools can be just as varied as a 4-year school. Because again, they have to be able to transfer to a lot of 4-year schools. A lot of people go there and then transfer, so they have to have a lot of options as well. Okay. So that's a 2-year. So again, someone who does not have a lot of money but knows they, maybe their family's always gone. They just know they want to go to college, but they don't want to go waste money because they don't want to go spend $20,000 a year and then decide, oh, guess what? All the classes I took really weren't that useful because I'm going to change my major. Well, you do that at 2-year school, not as much money. All right? It's a way to save money, basically. Or just get your associate's degree. 4-year school. All right, should be pretty simple. We're talking about the biggest, the most options, that kind of stuff. Most things are out there. So you have many options and opportunities. Wow, I can't spell. All right, many options and opportunities. So not only do you have probably a plethora of degrees to choose from, but you're probably going to experience most of them too. Most 4-year colleges, you go and you experience different classes. You have to take general classes. So even if you are like, I'm a history person, I love history, or I want to be a police officer and I want to go through the justice program. Well, guess what? You're still going to have to take science. You're still going to have to take some music, and you might find something else you like. So you get plenty of options, plenty of opportunities. All right? You're going to have bachelor degree and up. That's where you can get these. Okay? You can get bachelor's, you can get master's, you can go get a doctorate. All those things exist at 4-year colleges. Okay? So you can go get those at these places. So that's a big jump up. A lot of pros from that. So that can many career options open up. Whoops. Because a lot of jobs you have to have this degree in order to get the job. So a lot of career options open up as well. All right, you have plenty of career options to choose from to do that. I'm going to just put in parentheses, kind of along with this one, higher paying jobs. All right, the last pro is you have the name of the school. Okay? Now, I put it as a pro. It's not as big as most people think to say, oh, I went to school X. Now, again, some schools are the exception, like Harvard, Yale, MIT. Those would carry a little bit more weight behind them. But if we're talking about you want to be an education major, and your options, well, let's see, I could go to SEMO, I could go to Mizzou. Most schools are not going to go, oh, well, you went to Mizzou, I'm picking you over SEMO. Okay? It's not always the bigger school that wins with a lot of options. Okay? You earn your degree, you get the grades you need to get. That's what most people actually look for, and then the interview decides a lot of the other stuff, or just connections, who you know. But for a lot of things, it's not necessarily the name of the school that's behind your degree, but in some places it could make a difference. It's possible, but clearly you do get that. Again, I did put it as a pro, so you do get that option or that possibility of, oh, you went to this school, that's impressive, or we see the grades you get. But again, SEMO is known for having a pretty good education program, so you can go to SEMO and earn the same degree that you can go pay $50,000 for up at Mizzou. So you can you're talking about saving tens of thousands of dollars. All right, so cons. Obviously, most expensive. All right, that's probably the biggest con right there. But then you also have time commitment. All right. It's a huge time commitment. Again, it's 4 years basically that you're not going to be starting your career. Okay. So someone else may have said, okay, you know what? I'm done with Saxony. I'm going to wait a month and I'm going to start working, start bringing in that paycheck, bringing in that money. All right? Well, you got a time commitment. And yes, you can work while you're in college, but depending on what other things you have going on, if you want to join clubs, programs, how much work goes along with your degree, you may not have much time to actually work, okay? You might be able to do a small side job, but that's a huge time commitment, 4 years, where again, you're not probably making a lot of money. You might be able to put a little bit away with your side job or whatever, but again, big time commitment there, all right? And we're not talking about 4 years, because most 4-year schools are now technically like 5 years, things like that. So, again, and one other con is probably, again, depending on the school, but a lot of extra classes, okay? Again, I took a mythology in history, no, mythology, I think it was just mythology, just a mythology class at SEMO. I took a nutrition class at SEMO. Well, actually, that one kind of applies to my actual degree, so forget that one. But mythology, I took that one. I took the mathematics of art, was a class I took. I took physics. Again, I enjoyed the class, but again, not relevant to what I'm doing now. So I took one physics class, took chemistry. I had to take a lot of extra classes and pay for those classes, and they didn't actually advance me towards my degree. Okay, yeah, they might be. Some of them might have been a requirement to graduate, but they're not. I didn't learn anything in physics. Physics. Again, of course, you can always apply some information, but nothing in physics made me a better PE teacher. Yeah, again, I may have picked up some extra information there, but is the information I picked up in physics class, is it worth the $600 probably that I spent to take the class? And maybe I picked up, maybe 5% of it is really useful for a PE major? Probably not. Mythology doesn't really play in. Again, I do have that knowledge now, or some of it, whatever I haven't forgotten. I have some of that now, but it's not all there. And again, I'd probably still be an effective PE teacher or history teacher without mythology, without physics, without chemistry, those things I had to take there. So again, you're going to spend some extra time doing things that are not pertinent to your degree. So those are the options you have to have after class. You need to know the pros and cons of each. So if you need to go back through and watch it, there you go. That was a little bit longer than I thought. So I will put those two worksheets online, but that's all we're going to do in today's lesson. All right. See you next time.